Are you looking for a good novel? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Read that book. Let me tell you why. Hey everybody. So I want to tell you about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. She's been at this for a little while. This is certainly not her first bestseller. She's had many of them. And she is just an incredible author. I was really impressed with this book. I don't know exactly how it was received. I mean, it was a bestseller, so it couldn't have been all too bad. But I think just a little bit of press that I took in about this book was somewhat negative, that it didn't go far enough, that it wasn't, iconically V.E. Schwab, doesn't fit in with the rest of her work, and so they were disappointed. I just loved this book. It was 5 stars for me, which is very unusual because I'm a nonfiction guy, and when I looked at this, I thought, it's got that fantasy YA look to it. I wasn't terribly excited to get into it, but I knew everyone was talking about this. It's been out for a little while now, 2020, so a few years, and it's a sizable novel. It's not huge. It's not like Stephen King or anything. It's 440 pages, but there's lots of dialogue in it, so you can get through that pretty fast. But what a great book! It's almost a direct retelling of Faust. Okay, so if you think of it in terms of Faust, you're going to be right at home. When I say retelling, I don't mean like Madeline Miller's Achilles, the Song of Achilles. I'm not saying like that. I mean, it's a reimagining of that same sort of deal with the devil. Tons of archetypes in here, like just littered with them, and the time scale was really neat. In another video, I was talking about Cloud Cuckoo Land and the vast time scale that exists in that book, from the Renaissance until like 100 or 200 years in the future. That was really cool, but I thought, please don't kill me, but I wasn't crazy about Cloud Cuckoo Land. And everybody, like, that's a cult classic if you ever saw one. Everyone was just going nuts about this book. This one didn't get quite as much, plaudits as that. Perhaps not, even though it was very well received overall. You've got these characters that, especially in the beginning, I thought she was going to take it a different way. It sort of starts out with this vignette of the metaphor that I was reading into it was like, this is what happens when you just become a pleasure seeker and live for yourself. You lose sort of this continuity of narrative in your life. You lose important people because you're only living for yourself, and you become invisible. That's sort of where I thought, through the first part of this book, I thought that's what she was saying by means of metaphor. But it became so much more than that. Of course, you could draw those kind of metaphorical conclusions, but she goes so many places with this. Another thing I really, really loved with her handling of this is the love triangle, which love triangles I'm not crazy about to begin with, but it's almost identical to Gone with the Wind's love triangle between Scarlett and Rhett Butler, and Scarlett and what was his name? Was it Andrew? I can't remember. No, Ashley. I'm sorry, Ashley. It's sort of the same vibe, like Rhett Butler had Scarlett figured right out to a T, and she just couldn't trip him up. Well, that's sort of what exists in this book. Lots of that sort of smack talk, lots of that, she's trying to get this guy, sort of get him pegged, and she can't. But she does get him in the end, which is great. And some people didn't like the ending of the story because they felt like she doesn't change, she just stayed the same person and selfish, and why she was in the particular situation as she was at the outset of the book. I don't agree with that interpretation personally, but this is the beauty of fiction, is we can all go our different ways with it. The way she tells the story is really unique because she starts out in whatever it was, 1714, and it's a 300-year story, just over 300 years, right? And so immediately she comes to the modern age in 2014, and then so that story is much more fleshed out, the modern part, because it only lasts, it's all within like a year or two sort of thing, right? But then she's catching you up through the centuries. She even goes through the French Revolution, the fall of the Ancien Regime, and the Napoleonic era, although she doesn't spend much time on Napoleon, and even through the world wars, and how she ends up. Well, actually, I'm going to spoil it if I give you much more details than that. So, guys, go out. If you haven't read this book, you got to read it. If you're hearing this from a nonfiction guy, that it's it's an honest review. I'm not just saying it. I was honest about Cloud Cuckoo Land, and other works that were very popular, like, well, this is nonfiction, but Think Again by Adam Grant. I wouldn't have read that, unless it had some sort of commercial success. Well, I did read it, and I could have missed it. It wasn't really astounding. So I'm being honest with you guys. And there's also another book too, The Maidens. Everyone was going nuts about that book. I couldn't get into it. There are certain things that I liked about it. I made a video about it, so it should be coming out soon. Keep your eyes open for that, my breakdown of it. But have you guys read that book? I want to hear your thoughts on it. I want to see, like, philosophically, if you guys have an interest in philosophy like I do, what did you make of it? Like, I tend to be a bit Jungian in my approach to fiction. So, I read a lot of metaphor into the plots behind the plots, the characters behind the actual character. And I'd love to hear what you guys thought of it. So I'll see you down there, and thanks for popping by. Hey everyone, I hope you liked this video. If you want more like the one you just watched, click the suggested video on this screen. Make sure you subscribe, and to connect with me on my other platforms, my handles are linked below in the description, alright? Take care, peeps. Till next time.